Welcome to a new episode of DigitrendZ DeepDive, where we're diving deep into the world of cybersecurity in 2025.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to be going beyond the headlines, pulling insights from industry reports, expert analyses, and real-world happenings to give you a clear view of what's ahead.
Okay, so let's get into it. We'll be looking at the cybersecurity trends, challenges, and opportunities that are shaping the landscape in 2025. And trust me, whether you're a seasoned security pro or just starting out, this deep dive has something for everyone.
Absolutely. Cybersecurity is no longer just an IT issue. It affects businesses, governments, individuals, everyone. So buckle up. It's going to be a fascinating ride.
And speaking of fascinating countries, our sources are painting a pretty intense picture of the future. For starters, we've got predictions about cybersecurity spending. Get this, global spending is expected to hit a massive $212 billion in 2025.
Now, what's driving this surge? Well, a number of factors, but the rise of AI-powered attacks is a big one.
Yeah.
It's like we're in this constant arms race where attackers are using AI to develop more sophisticated attacks.
It's almost like a sci-fi movie come to life. AI battling AI. But how exactly are hackers using AI to their advantage? What does that look like in the real world?
Well, a report from Gartner predicts that by 2027, 17% of all cyber attacks or data leaks will involve AI, specifically generative AI. Think about things like deepfakes, where AI is used to create incredibly realistic fake videos or audio recordings. This technology can be used to spread misinformation or manipulate people into giving up sensitive information.
Oh, wow. That's scary stuff. So it's not just about protecting our systems anymore, it's about protecting ourselves from being tricked by AI-generated content as well.
Exactly. And it's not just the attacks themselves that are becoming more sophisticated. The methods of delivery are evolving too.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me more.
Well, traditional phishing attacks, they relied on tricking people with suspicious emails, but now hackers are using legitimate platforms to spread their malware.
Wait, what? They're using platforms we trust to launch attacks. How does that work?
So a report by Barracuda Networks found that hackers are increasingly exploiting trusted content creation and collaboration platforms. Think about educational platforms, graphic design tools, file sharing services, things we use every day. They're leveraging the trust we place in these platforms to make their attacks more effective.
So it's like a wolf in sheep's clothing. It's hiding in plain sight, making it even harder to spot the danger.
Precisely. And this makes user education more important than ever before. We need to equip people with the knowledge and skills to recognize these threats and protect themselves.
So it sounds like cybersecurity awareness training is going to be a major focus in 2025.
Absolutely. Organizations need to invest in comprehensive training programs that go beyond just checking boxes. They need to teach their employees how to spot phishing attempts, recognize deepfakes, and understand the evolving tactics of attackers.
Speaking of evolving tactics, let's talk about the Internet of Things, or IoT. It's connecting more devices than ever before, from smart homes to industrial systems. But this connectivity also brings new security challenges.
You're right. The IoT is a goldmine for hackers. The sheer number of connected devices, each with its own potential vulnerabilities, creates a vast attack surface. And to make matters worse, many IoT devices are designed with security as an afterthought, leaving them easy targets for exploitation.
So we've got all these connected devices out there collecting and transmitting sensitive data, but many of them aren't properly secured. That's a recipe for disaster.
It is. And AI is playing a role in this as well. While AI can be used to enhance IoT security by analyzing data and detecting anomalies, it can also be used by attackers to exploit vulnerabilities more effectively.
It's that double-edged sword again. AI can be both a powerful tool for good and a dangerous weapon in the wrong hands.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to approach AI development and deployment responsibly, especially in the context of IoT security.
So we need to make sure that security is baked into the design of IoT devices from the ground up, not treated as an afterthought.
Absolutely. And that requires a collaborative effort between device manufacturers, service providers, and users.
What can each of these stakeholders do to improve IoT security?
Well, device manufacturers need to prioritize security in the design and development process, implementing strong authentication mechanisms, encryption protocols, and regular security updates. Service providers need to secure their networks and infrastructure, monitor for suspicious activity, and respond promptly to threats. And users need to choose reputable devices, change default passwords, keep their firmware updated, and practice good cyber hygiene.
So it's a shared responsibility. We all have a role to play in securing the IoT.
Precisely. And that brings us to another area where AI is having a major impact. Software engineering.
Oh yeah, AI coding tools. They're all the rage right now, but they're also raising some eyebrows in the security community.
Right, that's right. While these tools offer incredible potential for efficiency and productivity in software development, they also introduce new security risks. A survey by Black Duck Software revealed that 2/3 of developers are actually worried about the security and safety of AI-generated code.
Wow, 2/3. That's a significant number.
Yeah.
So what are the specific concerns? What are developers worried about?
Well, one major concern is the potential for vulnerabilities in AI-generated code. These tools are still in their early stages, and there's a risk that they might introduce vulnerabilities that could be exploited by attackers. Also, there's the issue of bias. Just like with other AI applications, AI coding tools can inherit biases from the data they're trained on.
So if the training data contains biased examples of code, the tool might generate code that perpetuates those biases, potentially leading to security flaws or even discriminatory outcomes.
Exactly. And that's why human oversight and careful code review are essential. We can't just blindly trust AI-generated code. We need to combine the power of AI with human expertise to ensure security and reliability.
All right, so we've got AI shaking up the software development landscape, IoT devices multiplying like rabbits, and hackers becoming more sophisticated by the day. It's a lot to keep up with. How are cybersecurity professionals feeling about all this?
Well, an ISIC survey painted a pretty stressful picture. Cybersecurity professionals are reporting high levels of stress due to the constantly evolving threat landscape, budget constraints, and the ongoing challenge of hiring and retaining skilled staff. In fact, a staggering 46% of professionals are considering leaving the field due to stress. That's almost half of the workforce.
Those are some alarming statistics. What can organizations do to support their cybersecurity teams and prevent this talent drain? Because losing experienced professionals is definitely not good for anyone.
Yeah, you're right. Organizations need to prioritize their employees' well-being. They can start by fostering a culture of open communication and collaboration, making sure security teams feel comfortable raising concerns and working together. Encouraging work-life balance and offering resources for stress management are also crucial.
It sounds like creating a supportive and healthy work environment is just as important as having the latest security technology.
Absolutely. And don't forget about investing in professional development and training. This not only helps upskill employees, but also shows them that their growth and career advancement are valued by the organization.
So it's about creating a positive work environment, providing the right resources, and investing in the people in the front lines. Makes sense. Now let's talk about something a little less stressful, passwords.
Yes, the bane of our digital existence. But seriously, passwords are a critical part of cybersecurity, and there's been some interesting research challenging conventional wisdom about password complexity.
You mean those long, complicated passwords with a mix of uppercase, lowercase numbers, and special characters? I thought those are supposed to be the gold standard, the Fort Knox of password security.
Well, not so fast. NIST guidelines now suggest that password length is actually a more important factor than complexity. They found that those super complex passwords often lead to people writing them down, storing them in unsafe places, or using the same password for multiple accounts, which completely defeats the purpose.
So we're actually making ourselves less secure by trying to make our passwords too complex. It's kind of ironic.
It is, and it all comes down to human behavior. We're simply not good at remembering long, complicated strings of characters, so we end up compensating in ways that make us more vulnerable. It's the classic security paradox.
So what's the solution? Should we all just start using password 123 again?
Definitely not. But the focus is shifting. We need to find a balance between security and memorability. A long passphrase, something like a sentence or a quote, can be much easier to remember and just as secure, if not more so, than a short, complex password.
So longer and more meaningful is better than shorter and more complex.
Got it.
And I've also heard about this whole movement towards passwordless authentication. Is that the future?
It very well could be. We're seeing increasing adoption of technologies like biometric, security keys, and other innovative approaches that eliminate the need for traditional passwords altogether.
That sounds pretty appealing.
Yeah.
No more trying to remember dozens of different passwords. What are some of the benefits of going passwordless?
Well, for starters, it eliminates the risk of password-related attacks like phishing and brute force attacks. Hackers can't steal what doesn't exist, right? It also simplifies the user experience, making it easier and more convenient to access accounts and services.
So it's a win-win. More secure and more user-friendly. Sign me up. But before we ditch passwords completely, let's circle back to AI, specifically its role in compliance.
Compliance is definitely becoming more complex, especially with the growing use of AI. Dorina Hamzo, CEO of AdviseUp Consulting, made some insightful points about this in a recent interview.
Oh, okay. I'm all ears. What did she have to say?
Well, she emphasized that organizations need to move beyond simply checking boxes for compliance. It's no longer enough to just say you're compliant. You need to have robust security programs in place that actually protect your data, and AI can play a key role in achieving that.
So it's about moving from a reactive approach to a proactive approach, using AI to anticipate and mitigate risks before they become problems.
Exactly. And Dorina also highlighted the importance of data governance in light of the increasing number of data breaches. The IBM 2024 breach report found that data breaches increased by a staggering 72% compared to the previous year, with the average cost of a breach in the U.S. reaching over $9 million.
Wow, those are some eye-opening statistics. It's clear that data breaches are a serious threat, and organizations need to take proactive steps to protect themselves.
Absolutely. And that's where AI-driven compliance tools can really make a difference. These tools can help organizations automate compliance tasks, identify potential risks, and ensure they're meeting regulatory requirements.
So AI can help organizations stay ahead of the curve on compliance, which is becoming increasingly important in this rapidly evolving digital landscape.
Precisely. It's not just about avoiding penalties, it's about protecting sensitive information, maintaining customer trust, and ensuring the long-term success of the business.
That makes sense. So we've talked about AI-powered attacks, the challenges of IoT security, the impact of AI on software development and compliance, and even the evolving world of passwords. It's clear that the cybersecurity landscape is constantly shifting.
It is, and there's one more major trend we need to discuss, the shift towards hybrid cloud environments.
Ah, yes, the cloud.
Yeah.
It seems like everything is moving to the cloud these days. But what exactly is driving this shift? Is it just about cost savings?
Well, cost is certainly a factor, but security and compliance are playing a major role as well. A report by Information Services Group found that UK organizations are increasingly moving away from on-premises systems and towards managed hosting services. This trend is largely driven by the need for enhanced security and compliance in the face of evolving regulations.
So organizations are realizing that the cloud can actually offer better security than traditional on-premises systems.
In many cases, yes. Cloud providers invest heavily in security infrastructure and expertise, which can be difficult for individual organizations to match. Plus, hybrid cloud solutions allow organizations to maintain some control over their data while leveraging the security benefits of the cloud.
It sounds like a balanced approach, combining the best of both worlds.
It is. And this trend is likely to continue as more organizations recognize the advantages of hybrid cloud for security compliance and overall business agility.
So it's not just about where the data is stored, it's about how it's managed, secured, and accessed. The cloud is changing the game, and organizations need to adapt to stay ahead of the curve.
Absolutely. And that adaptation includes embracing AI not only as a security tool, but also as a force that's reshaping the very nature of work itself.
Okay, let's talk about that. How is AI changing the workforce, especially in the field of software engineering?
Well, Gartner predicts that by 2027, a whopping 80% of the software engineering workforce will need to upskill to keep pace with the demands of AI. This is driven by the rise of AI-powered coding tools, which are automating many tasks and changing the way software is developed.
So software engineers will need to learn new skills and adapt to a new way of working. What does this mean for the future of the profession?
It's a significant shift. We're seeing the emergence of new roles like AI engineer, which require a blend of software engineering, data science, and ML expertise. It's a whole new breed of professional.
So it's not just about learning to use AI tools, it's about understanding the underlying principles of AI and how to integrate it into the software development lifecycle.
Precisely. And despite the growing role of AI, human expertise is still absolutely essential. We need that balance between technology and human capabilities to ensure that systems are developed and deployed responsibly.
It's not about replacing humans. It's about augmenting human capabilities with AI, making us more efficient, productive, and innovative.
Exactly. And that's where the real opportunity lies, using AI to enhance our skills and empower us to solve complex problems in ways that were previously unimaginable.
Yeah, it really has been a fascinating conversation. And, those choices we're making today about AI, they're going to have a big impact on how we approach compliance moving forward.
That's interesting. We were talking earlier about, Dorina Hamzo's insights, but it feels like compliance is going way beyond, ticking boxes and getting certifications.
Exactly. It's becoming much more holistic and proactive.
Yeah.
The IBM 2024 breach report, it found that data breaches increased by a crazy 72% compared to the year before. And the average cost of a breach in the U.S., it's over $9 million now. Think about that.
Those numbers are definitely eye-opening. It seems like organizations are starting to understand that strong security programs, they're not just about compliance anymore. They're crucial for business continuity, keeping customers trusting them. Right. And that's where AI-driven compliance tools can be really powerful. They can help automate compliance tasks, identify potential risks, and make sure organizations are meeting those regulatory requirements. And they can do it in real time.
So AI can help organizations stay ahead of the curve on compliance,
Yeah.
especially with the digital world changing so fast. But it can't just be about the tools, right? What about the human element?
You're absolutely right. Technology is just one piece of the puzzle. You still need skilled professionals to manage those tools, interpret the data, and make the right decisions. But that brings us back to that cybersecurity skills shortage we talked about earlier. It's a huge challenge for companies that are trying to build and maintain strong security.
It's like a catch-22, isn't it? You need experts to implement these AI-driven security solutions.
Yeah.
But there aren't enough experts to go around. How are companies dealing with this?
Well, some are getting creative. They're partnering with universities and training institutes to build a pipeline of cybersecurity talent. Others are investing in internal training to upskill their current employees.
So it's about both building a talent pool from scratch and helping existing employees adapt to this new world.
Exactly. And it's not just technical skills. Communication, collaboration, and critical thinking, those soft skills are more important than ever in cybersecurity.
Makes sense. Because at the end of the day, security is about people. You can have the best tech in the world, but if your people aren't trained and aware, you're still vulnerable.
Couldn't agree more. Building a strong security culture within a company that's critical. It's about making sure everyone understands how important security is and that they can contribute to a safe digital workspace.
And speaking of a safe digital workspace, we can't ignore the elephant in the room. The cloud feels like everything is moving to the cloud. But there's still so much uncertainty about cloud security.
I get it. Migrating to the cloud is a huge change for any organization, and security is a top concern. But I think it's important to remember that cloud providers are putting tons of resources into security infrastructure and expertise. In a lot of cases, they can offer a level of security that would be impossible for individual companies to match.
So it's not that the cloud itself is less secure. It's more about organizations needing a good security strategy when they move to the cloud.
You got it. It's about understanding the shared responsibility model. Cloud providers are responsible for securing the underlying infrastructure, and the organizations themselves, they're responsible for securing their own applications and data within that cloud environment.
That makes sense. It's a partnership. Both sides have to work together to make sure the cloud is secure.
Exactly. And there are tools and technologies that can help organizations improve their cloud security. One example is zero trust architecture. We talked about it a bit earlier. It's becoming super popular for cloud environments.
Can you remind us what zero trust architecture is? How does it work?
Sure. Zero trust. It's the security model that assumes no user or device can automatically be trusted. It's about continuous verification and authentication every single time someone tries to access something. It doesn't matter if they're inside or outside the network.
So it's like that old saying, trust but verify.
Exactly. And when you have a cloud environment where users and devices are connecting and disconnecting all the time, zero trust becomes a really effective way to reduce the attack surface and stop unauthorized access.
That makes a lot of sense. So we've got AI-driven compliance tools, a focus on security culture, and zero trust architecture for the cloud. There are a lot of moving pieces in cybersecurity these days.
There are, and we haven't even talked about how the threats themselves are changing. They're becoming much more sophisticated and challenging.
You're right. We touched on AI-powered attacks and how attackers are exploiting trusted platforms. What else are cybersecurity professionals worried about?
One thing that's really concerning is the rise of ransomware attacks. They're becoming much more targeted and damaging. Attackers are asking for bigger ransoms and often going after critical infrastructure.
Ransomware is a huge threat. What can organizations do to protect themselves?
Prevention is key. Strong security measures are essential. Things like multi-factor authentication, regular data backups, and training employees to spot and avoid phishing attacks.
So it's about having layers of security where all the different protections work together to prevent attacks and to minimize the damage if an attack does get through.
Precisely. And it's also essential to have a plan in place for when an attack does happen. This means knowing how to isolate systems that are infected, restore data from backups, and communicate with everyone involved.
So a good incident response plan is just as important as those strong preventative measures.
Definitely. A well-rehearsed plan can help minimize downtime, contain the damage, and get things back to normal faster.
Cybersecurity sounds more and more complex and demanding all the time. Do you think there's a risk of burnout for cybersecurity professionals?
Burnout is a real problem in this industry. The pressure to stay ahead of the attackers, the constant threat of breaches, and the long hours, it can take a toll on even the most dedicated people.
What can be done to address that?
Organizations need to create a culture that puts employee well-being first. This means things like offering flexible work arrangements, promoting work-life balance, and providing resources to help manage stress.
So it's about remembering that cybersecurity professionals are people. They need support to do their jobs well and not burn out.
Exactly. And a burned-out workforce is a less effective one. That can ultimately hurt an organization's security.
So taking care of employees is also taking care of security.
Precisely. It's an investment that pays off in the long run.
Yeah, it is. It's tough work.
Right.
But it's so important. We rely on these professionals to keep our digital lives safe and secure. And like we've been talking about, those challenges are only going to get tough in the years to come.
For sure. And as those challenges change, so do the ways we approach security. We can't just keep doing the same old things and using the same old technology.
Yeah.
We need to be innovative and proactive, always adapting to the latest threats.
One area where we're seeing a lot of innovation is in how we verify who we are, authentication.
Yeah.
I talked earlier about the move toward passwordless authentication. What else is happening in that space?
There's a lot going on in biometrics, for example. We're moving away from the old fingerprint scanning and toward things like iris and facial recognition. Those technologies are way more accurate and secure, so they're perfect for high-security applications.
So it's not just about unlocking our phones with our faces. Biometrics are becoming really important for enterprise security systems, too.
Right. And there's also behavioral biometrics, which looks at the unique patterns in how we type, swipe, and interact with devices. It's kind of like a continuous authentication layer that's always running in the background. It can identify users based on their own unique digital fingerprint.
So it's like having an invisible security guard watching our behavior all the time, making sure it's really us using our devices and accounts.
That's a great way to think about it. And these new authentication technologies are so important because they fix one of the biggest weaknesses in security: human behavior.
It always comes back to us, doesn't it? Even with the best security systems in the world, if someone falls for a phishing scam or uses a weak password, it can all fall apart.
Exactly. That's why security awareness training and building a strong security culture are so crucial. We need to empower users to be part of the solution, not the problem.
It's about changing that mindset from security is IT's job to security is everyone's responsibility.
Absolutely. And that shift needs to happen everywhere, from the individual user all the way up to the CEO.
Speaking of CEOs, I'm curious what you think about the role of leadership in creating a secure organization. What makes a leader security conscious?
A security-conscious leader gets it. They understand that cybersecurity isn't just an IT problem, it's a business problem. They know that security is vital for keeping the business running, maintaining customer trust, and ultimately for the company's success. They also understand that security is a continuous process, not a one-time fix. They invest in security resources, stay up to date on the latest threats, and build a culture of security awareness throughout the organization.
So it's about setting the right example from the top and making security a core value for everyone.
Exactly. And it's about giving security teams what they need to succeed. A security-conscious leader provides resources, authority, and support so the security team can make good decisions and implement the right security measures.
So it sounds like having a strong partnership between leadership and the security team is super important for building a secure organization.
It really is. And that partnership has to be based on trust and open communication. Security teams need to feel like they can speak up, share information, and work together with leadership to solve those security challenges.
It's a good reminder that cybersecurity is all about people working together to protect our digital world and make it a safer place online.
I completely agree.
Well, I think that's a great place to wrap things up. We've covered so much in this deep dive into the world of cybersecurity in 2025. We've seen how AI is both a powerful tool and a potential threat, how the threats are always changing, and how important human behavior is for security.
It's been a fantastic discussion, and I hope our listeners feel more informed and prepared to navigate this constantly changing world of cybersecurity.
I'm sure they do. And to our listeners, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of The Deep Dive. We'll be back soon with another exploration of technology and innovation. Until then, stay curious, stay vigilant, and stay safe.
Stay ahead, stay informed, stay relevant.